Hey everybody, Bailey Smith here with Recaptured Values. Today we're going to be doing a tutorial over the Lowland Kids Raglan PJ top. This is super cute. This is going to be a two-part series. I'm going to do the top and then I'm going to pair it with the lounge sweats, I think is what they're called, also from Lowland Kids, and that will be next the next video we do. So if you want to catch the pants tutorial for this, check out our next video that will be posted on Tuesday next week. Alright, so let's get started.
Okay, for the pattern pieces, you need the front piece cut 1 on a fold, and that's the scoop for the front. You'll need the back piece cut 1 on the fold, and that's the back. You'll need 2 sleeve pieces, mirrored images, and then you'll need 2 cuffs. And then you'll need also the neckband, which is included in the cut chart for the measurement. Alright, so then here's the pieces cut out. I've got that 1 front piece cut on a fold, 1 back piece cut on a fold, 2 mirrored images sleeves. And you'll pay attention to the peaks on the sleeves because we'll need to match those up later. The cuffs, and then the neckband, which is in the cut chart.
Okay, so you have your front here and your back, and you know which one's which based on the neck here, and then there's sleeve. You're going to need to pay attention to your sleeve pattern piece here, which I did the newborn size because I'm doing this for my newborn son, Sire, who is hopefully going to peacefully sleep through this whole video. But you got to pay attention to your sleeve piece here because you have a B here and an F here, and that's where you attach the back of the sleeve to the back piece of your shirt, and the front of the sleeve to the front of the shirt. Goodness. All right, so you need to pay attention to that. Alright, so I'm using this rib knit from Knit Pop. It is the 2x1 rib knit, and this is white. Super cute. I figured while he's a newborn, let's put him in white because, you know, when he's a toddler, he probably will never wear white. So, alright. And then I just pick which side I really want to be the front and the back. It really doesn't matter. So what you're going to do is, this is the back. So you're going to put your pattern piece down here. And we're going to say the higher up piece of the sleeve, so the higher up point is the back. It needs to match up with the back here. So you're going to put it like this here. And you're going to do the same thing with the other side here. So you're going to put this here to match up that back point here to the back. And so then what we're going to do here is, I've got this folded here, but I'm just going to go ahead and open it up. So we have our sleeves now, right sides together, with the back point matching up with the back part of the shirt. That was a whole bunch of backs there. Okay, so the back point of the sleeve is matching up with the actual back of the shirt. So you put that there, right sides together, and you'll just sew or serge. You can use a zigzag stitch on a sewing machine to get this done, or if you have a serger, that's what I prefer to use. And I'm just going to serge this seam right here and this seam right here, and then we'll just repeat it with the front. So we've serged there, and then what you're going to do is open that up like this, and as you can see, that's what it looks like. And then right side up here, your front piece, you're going to flip this over to where the right sides are facing each other. I'm getting a whole bunch of random fuzzies here. But then you're going to match up that front point of your sleeve, so it's the only part left of that sleeve, and you're going to match it up there, and you're going to fold this back just a little bit. Same thing on the other side, that front part of your sleeve, the part that slopes down here, slopes down, you're going to match it up to the point on the front, and then the arm side part there, and you're going to serge or zigzag stitch right there as well. I'll be right back. Okay, so then this is what it looks like when you've got that part done, and then what I like to do then is just kind of grab the sleeve parts here. I've got the sleeve parts, and then now I've got the bottom of the sleeve. Bottom of the shirt is now facing you guys, and my sleeve part here, like that, matching up all my raw edges here. And so then, as you can see, that's the neck, bottom of the shirt, sleeves, and then we're going to serge or zigzag stitch. And then also, before we do anything else, you can add your cuffs in the flat. If you're doing a tiny version of this, like I'm doing the newborn, you can do your cuffs on the flat if you don't want to do the circle. And so how you would do that is you would fold this wrong sides together this way. So typically when we do a cuff, I do the ham hot method. And so what I would do is, the best part about rib knit is the ribs are going vertically. Okay, so you would fold it across the rib like this, and then you would fold it like this for the ham hock method if you wanted to sew the cuffs on in the round. So instead of doing that and trying to get this tiny little cuff on, I'm gonna fold this wrong sides together this way, so across the grain line, because this would be across the stretch just based on the ribs and how the stretch is going, because this is not the stretchiest, this is the stretchiest. Okay, so before I do all that, I'm gonna open this up, and you could have done this before you added the sleeves. It's totally up to you. But so now my shirt is right side up, meaning the seams are down, my arm seams are down, and so then you just put this on here, stretch it, and sew it onto your piece here, and that's how you can sew your cuffs on in the flat. So then when we serge the entire side seam to the armpit seam up, we'll sew the cuffs shut, and you'll just need to secure that some sort of way if you're using a serger, or do a back stitch if you're using a sewing machine. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I'm just gonna sew these on flat. Like I said, I'm putting them right sides together here, cuff down on the right side, serging, and then you can top stitch it down this way as well, and it makes it super simple. So I'm gonna go do that real fast, and I'll be right back. So then this is what it looks like. I sewed the cuffs on, and then I top stitched it down. It's a little wrinkly, but it's okay. So then we're just gonna flip this back just like this, flip that back on itself, and then we will sew or serge the cuff all the way down to here on both sides here. Okay, and then we're gonna hem the bottom and add the neckband, and we'll be done with this thing. All right, so here we are at the serger, and then I'm just gonna pick a side and start with the cuff here. And then if you've watched some of my previous videos, when I do a sleeve like this, you're gonna need to secure this. Since we did this in the flat, you're gonna need to secure this seam here where your cuff is, otherwise it will unravel. So what I like to do, the best way, if you don't have a nit picker or something like that and you're using a serger, what I like to do is go ahead and get started. And then once that needle goes into the fabric, I grab my tail here and pull it. I'm gonna go ahead and lift my foot up and pull this tail, and then I'm gonna pull it underneath here, underneath the foot, and back across the knife. Hopefully you guys can see. I'm gonna pull that back underneath the knife so it cuts it off and it secures that tail. And so that's secure now. I'll do the other way with the knit picker just to show you. All right, so you're gonna make sure that you get the armpit seams lined up. Cut that, and as you can see, it finished off that there, and so that tail is not going to come undone. And then if you have a sewing machine, you can top stitch this seam down so that it doesn't hurt the baby or affect the wearer of the garment. So the seam here, as you can see, since we did the cuff in the flat, that seam is now there, and so you can top stitch that whole seam down if you want to there, just on the wrist part, so that it doesn't bother the baby or child wearing the garment. So now we're going to do the other side, and this time I'm going to do the knit picker, so I'm not going to cut off my tail with the serger. I'm just going to sew it like normal. Either way gets the job done. Alright, just making sure my pieces are lined up. Cut my tail, and then this one we're not going to cut too short. I'm going to cut it about right there with my tail. I'm going to take my knit picker here. Oops, sorry. Knit picker from Waywalk. It's $1, I believe. Grab a couple of them if you're going to do it. So basically what you do is you open that little lever thing there, and then you pop this, open it all the way. You're going to pop this in the seam here about 1 inch back and squish it down in the middle. Pop it out where the tail is here. Make sure you pop that little lever out like that. Okay, and then grab your tail here, wrap it around that hook,
close the lever and pull it back through, and then cut the excess off here. And now that is secure. Oops, sorry. That is secured. The tail is now inside the garment here. And again, you have a cuff that is perfectly secured. It's not going to come unraveled no matter how many times you pull that apart. And then again, that seam there, you can top stitch down, which simply means just push it to one side and then top stitch on this side down. That's totally optional, just if you want to do it. Let's go ahead and add the neckband. So neckband, you're going to have to quarter. And the best way to quarter the neckband on these is, I like to grab the front and the back here, front and back, and then I like to put my shoulder, the back part of my shoulders, and the front part of my shoulder seams together so that you get the true back here. And then you get the true front here. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to undo it and match up those front and back seams to get the true side piece here, equal side point. It's going to be more closer to the front seam than the back seam because you have that front scoop. So then we've got this side here. Snip it. All right, so that's the outside of the garment. As you can see, the seams. So now we have our 4 equal points. And then we're going to do the hem hop method with this. So this is what it looked like when you cut the size chart. If you get to this point and you're like, there was no neckband piece, I tried to mention in the beginning, but if you missed it, this is in the size chart. So go back to, not size chart, this is in the cut chart of the pattern. So go back to your pattern, and depending on what size you chose, I am doing the band version. They also have a binding version. This is the band. So I cut mine, I'm doing the newborn. It's 9.5 inches long and 1.5 inches wide. So I'm going to fold it this way, like this. And then I'm going to fold it hot dog style like this. And a lot of people they don't really like doing it like this. I like doing it like this because they say they get an unevenness on the top part. I like to put the folded edge in. I lift my knife up as high as it'll go, put the folded edge in, and just try my best to keep them all lined up. That's the best way to get it and make it not so uneven. It will be slightly uneven, but you can do a few tricks and tips to make it not as uneven. So we just serge that edge there. And I just cut my tails. And so then I'm going to snip these 2 bottom pieces here, because we're going to use that seam here as 1 point. So then these points are now a point. So we're going to flip this neckband right side out. So you just flip it like this. And we're going to match those 2 points that we cut. All right. And then we're going to match the back seam up with those 2 points that we cut. And then you will get your side pieces here. And as you can see, it's a tiny bit uneven, but nothing too bad. And again, you can top stitch that down if you wish. You don't have to do that. Again, it's completely optional. But if it bugs you, you can do the band the old-fashioned way, which is not sewing it like that. It's just folding it hamburger way and cutting that entire seam, or folding, sorry. You can do neckbands or cuffs the old-fashioned way, which is not the hem hop method. It would be folding it hamburger style and then sewing that seam and then flipping the seam back over itself and then sewing in the round, which this just kind of prevents this from wiggling too much. That's the way I like it to do it. So there you go. We've got this quartered, and so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put my seam in the middle back. And I'm not going to add a tag because this is for my child and I don't want to waste my tags for our business. So I'm still going to show you how I would add a tag. So this is the back seam in the back point of my garment. My garment is still inside out, or wrong side out, however you want to say it. Alright, so I'm going to match this up, and I'm putting the band on the inside of the garment. So really it's right sides together. So then I'm just going to walk it around to my points. Every point that I made on my neckband, I'm matching it up to a point that I snipped on the neck hole. And I'm using a pin. You can use clips, whatever you need to use to keep this thing on. So I'm going to walk around to the front here, my point that I marked on the neckband, match it up with the hole on the neck, And then we have one last point here. I'm not going to put a pin in this one because I just like to get started right here. All right, so there's that last point there. And I'm going to stick it under my serger here and then get started. All right, and so this point would be the back here. So I'm going to stretch the neck hole just enough to lay that neck band flat. So don't overstretch the neck hole. You're just stretching it just enough so that that band, that your raw edges are matching up on the side here as you sew. Okay, so I'm going to go, and then this is where I would typically fold a tag and add it into the back here, and it would work perfectly so that when you flip the neckband up, the tag is in the middle back and the inside of the garment. But like I said, I'm not going to add a tag, but that's where you would add a tag for compliance purposes. But like I said, this is for my son, so I'm not going to waste a tag. Alright, and then you just keep going and just make sure that you're not sewing over any needles. So you remove your needles as you go. This should be the last needle here. Like I said, don't overstretch. Stretching just enough so that all your raw edges are laying flat. If you overstretch, it will be really wrinkly. Thankfully with rib knit, it's not going to be as wrinkly because it is such a stretchy fabric. But still. Alright, and then I go back over where I started. Careful not to clip the sewed seam. If you need to turn off your knife when you're doing that so that you don't, you know, cut your seam, do that. But I've done this enough to where I don't have to do that, and hopefully you can get there too. So again, I'm sticking this knit picker in, sandwiching it in the middle of the seam, poking it out where I need to pull that tail through, opening the latch, hooking this around the hook and pulling it through. I like to stretch it a little bit just to make sure. Cut the excess off. And there we go. That's the neck hole. As you can see, that's what it looks like there. And then when you flip it out, I'm going to have to top stitch this down just for my liking. But that's what it looks like. That's the inside of the garment. Inside of the garment. And again, that tag, if you would have added one there in the middle back, would be right there. So that's how that works. And then all that's left now is to hem the bottom and optional top stitch the neckband. And so I'm going to go over here and do that real fast, and I'll show you what that looks like on my cover stitch. You can do this on a sewing machine. With doing the sewing machine, what I like to do is like to turn all my knobs to my serger to 0, and I like to serge around the edge, and then I like to top stitch or zigzag stitch around the bottom. That gives it a really professional look for me. But if you just have a sewing machine, you can absolutely just zigzag stitch around the bottom, fold it up. I think it's a 1/2 inch that you fold it up. That's what I do at least. So you fold it up the 1/2 inch and then zigzag stitch around. But I'm going to use my cover stitch. So let's go do that. Alright, here's my cover stitch, and I'm literally just going to open this up, still garment inside out. And I'm just going to get started on a seam here. And I go by feel. A lot of people like to measure, and I don't really do that. Alright, so you do have to kind of sew blind with the cover stitch because you do use the top part here. Your seam goes on the top part. Alright, and so I'm just going to go around. And you can double check yourself and make sure that your seam is good there. I just go for it. And then when I get back to where I start, what I like to do is go ahead and pull a little bit and clip the points just so I don't get confused. So there's 2 points in the front and 1 point in the back. And then I match them up. If you need to go slow with that, you're going to overlap. And then once you overlap a few, you're going to lift your presser foot, pull your strings, release your tension discs here, go underneath and pull those from underneath your foot, snip them, And then your looper, release the tension disc for your looper. Let me go ahead and lift that up. Okay. For your looper, pull it, and then you pull all those threads out, pull them, and it pulls them all to the back. Then you clip them, and they're all knotted. And then that's what the cover stitch looks like, and that's what the inside looks like. Alright, let's go see what this looks like completed. I'm going to top stitch the neckband real fast. I'll show you that super quick. Alright, we're done. Now let's go look at this thing. Okay, so that was super quick, super easy PJ top video. Cuffs, super cute, and super simple. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope it helped you out. Hope you learned some new tips and tricks, even to try with new other patterns. But like I said, hope you guys enjoyed this video. So check out our next video to see the cute little pants that we're going to pair with this. It's a really cute boutique look. So like those cute little rib knit outfits that you can buy from the super cute little boutiques. This is kind of like a dupe pattern for that. So if you want those cute outfits, but you don't want to pay those prices and you want to make them yourself, this is how you do it. So this is the PJ Raglan top from Lowland Kids, and next week we're going to be covering the cute little pants that I like to pair with this. So see you guys next week. Bye.